Hello? Okay. Hey, what's up?
Hey,
How are you?
good. How are you?
Peachy.
Peachy.
You just got done with the session?
Yep.
How'd it go?
It was good. It was good. It's just the same thing, like over and over again. Kind of like brushing your teeth. You're like, not much different.
Right.
Like, different person. Doesn't make much of a difference.
Can you scooch closer to me? Yeah, like get in the shot. Ma'am.
There's, sometimes there's guys that, just like the soft, slow, sensual stuff. So I like that. Because they're not as annoying.
Do you want to know what I did?
What'd you do?
I watched porn.
You did?
Yeah.
What'd you watch?
I don't know. I watched some girl getting screwed by some dude and he was like doing her in the butt and stuff. But I picked a pretty girl that looked like you because I was trying to simulate something in my head. That's usually what I do with porn.
Yeah.
And what I was simulating in my head was because you actually had, I don't think you know this, but you had another couple reach out to you and they wanted to bang you. They wanted to have a threesome with you.
Oh, a couple.
Yeah, and she was like, whatever. She was like this spiritual girl who's like a yogi. I found it kind of offensive, honestly. I mean, I'm going to be honest. I found it a little offensive because just me, my personal gripes. Like every single woman I've ever met who's like, I'm a yogi, I'm spiritual. Like they've all used that as the reason why to stay away from them. You know what I mean? But with you, I've noticed like whatever. With you, since I've been with you, I've noticed like things about the world, and it kind of makes you want to get better. But I'm gonna really try to not get better.
Yeah.
Okay. That like the things that women would use for me as why we can't, are they're using the same reasons for you as to why you should.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, it's really interesting, how that works.
It's very painful. Well, it's just rejection, that's all. It's just rejection. That's okay. But anyway, so they were clearly this wealthy couple, and she's like, he has a nice house. He's come to his nice house, she's trying to get you with the money thing. And I'm like, man, this feels really gross, the way that they're going about it and stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't know. So I just simulated that in my brain, and I used like a porn video to simulate like this guy fucking you, and like his wife like watching and be like, yeah, babe, you're the king, babe. Yeah, fuck this girl. Oh my god. Because like she's trying to titillate his ego because she's trying to get his money. And it's just this like really fucked up, cynical thing.
Right.
And I'm like, why even is this hot? Why, like what I wanted to know for myself is, and for people, like we are so fucked up as a culture, as a society, that like these things that are wrong have become fetishized. Like things that are wrong are hot, is what I noticed. And but that happens with people because you cannot take away people's the sex drive. So say like you were raised in an abusive household,
right?
You're gonna get horny no matter what because your genitals do that. But what your brain's gonna do is, if there's no real connection in the household, you're gonna start associating being horny with being in an abusive household. That's how you end up with those chicks that want to get fucking beat to death and have like metal rods shoved down their throat and shit.
That's crazy. I mean, I grew up in a really abusive household, but I didn't associate that with that. So there
Stockholm syndrome.
Yeah, there definitely is something, because there are women out there, like you said, who do associate the painful, traumatic experiences in their childhood with sex. But then someone like me grew up with a lot of that violence too, but I didn't associate that with it. So
Right.
I guess it's something that happens in the brain that kind of attaches on to a memory.
Yeah, you can't stamp out people's sex drive. So if someone is raised in prison, like literal prison, they're gonna start associating prison and being an inmate with being hot.
Right.
That's just what the brain does. But anyway, so I noticed for me, because we've been trying to figure out this conundrum of like, you know, how do you have connection, you know, with the world and other people and have sex and stuff, or can you even do that and still run a stable relationship and be able to raise kids and have a stable, friendly adult environment?
Yeah, that's what we've been trying to work on.
But all I see when I look around is cynicism and people doing dark shit.
Yeah, because we are the kind of people that are not ashamed of our bodies, and we are very open with each other when we communicate. But a lot of the world isn't there. They are not at the point where they feel comfortable sharing things, especially when it comes to sex. So the issue that we've always run across was like, we're so honest and open that it scares people.
Yeah. Well, here's the problem is that we don't want to be transactional with other people, which just means like give me your money and I'll give you whatever you want, you know, like it's just a transaction. Like the foundation of the relationship is love. It's actually caring.
Right.
About each other, but you know,
and people, we've noticed that a lot of the world, not everyone, because I know there are people out there who have evolved past this, but we've noticed how much people are afraid of love, almost even more than they are of sex sometimes.
mm-hmm.
And it just seems bizarre because you would think, oh, love is, you know, it's not a big thing. It just naturally comes to you. It's like, no, because it's almost like the more loving you are, the more terrifying you are to a lot of people.
Well, it's because they're going to get attached to you. That's why. And they're going to lose their mind. See, here's the problem too when it comes to like can adults have fun? Can adults break rules? Can adults have hookups with their friends and stuff? We don't know yet. We don't know cuz the problem right now is when you do hook up with someone, even if it's like the most responsible hookup ever, is like emotions happen, you get attached, you want more of the person, you know, that can create tension in your relationship, jealousy, all this stuff. Now it's like, now are we, you know, is that going to take away from the kids? You know what I mean? Like we got to do stuff, we got to run a business, so
right. And a lot of people start to feel once they have children, especially the woman, they start to feel, I'm sure the man has his own issues with this too, that once they have children, they start to feel as though sex is even worse. Like it should be swept under the rug even more.
Ooh.
I've heard it's a common thing. It's actually, I don't know. I mean, it makes
with
sense
women?
though. Yeah, with women, after a woman has a baby, she this is very common because my clients have told me that this has happened. Like as soon as she had the baby, she didn't want to have sex with me.
With him.
She's like, I don't want to, because she did the baby thing. Oh, I want to take care of the baby. I don't want to, you know, this is not good. You know, you start to see it as even more shameful now that you had a baby.
I think too, the offspring just takes priority.
Yeah, and it makes sense because it's like now you have another little being in your life and you have to be more careful of your actions, of what you say, what they see, like all this stuff. So yeah, there's probably a lot of emotional processes that you go through in your head once you have a baby. Especially if someone's having a baby and they didn't think about this before they had the baby. So now like, oh, once they have the baby, it's like, oh crap, now I feel this way. But it's like, that's to be expected if you didn't prepare properly for the child.
Right. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know, cause you know, with our parents, with the boomers, um, well, I guess, well, it just doesn't matter with the boomers, man. I mean, that's really all they fought about. That's what people got killed over. That's what people got shot over. That's what they fought about. Was like, that's it. People want to hook up with other people.
That's what my dad was shooting holes in the ceiling over. And almost shot my mom, and she was beating her. So it's like that was exactly the reason why that was happening. Was over sex with other people.
Yeah. So I don't know. I guess it's still. I mean, it's still. I guess for me, it's still a question mark. I'm not sure yet, because one, we haven't even found another couple that is like willing and able to even participate in that experiment.
It's like, yeah, we always find that it's the guy wants to because he's attracted to me, but like the girl doesn't want to do any of it, really. That's like the repeated consensus that we've received.
Yeah, it's by and large, it's usually the dudes, but girls cheat too on, you know.
Yeah, I'm sure if there was like some stud that came along, she'd be like, oh, damn, like if my boyfriend let me, you know, bring him into the bedroom with us, like, that would be great. But for him, it's not. He doesn't want to do that.
Yeah, that's really tricky shit. Honest to God, that's crazy. You know,
Yeah.
Let me think for me, like, well, because that, you know, I've felt those feelings, and but me now, there are parts of me that are open to that, and there are parts of me that are not open to that, and the parts of me that are like, yeah, you know, after sitting with it for a while and thinking about it, fantasizing about, you know, because it pops in your head. You end up watching porn and thinking about like, oh, what if that was my partner with someone else? You end up having orgasms to it. And then you get more and more curious to the point where you're like, well, you know, let's try it. Let's see what happens. That's me. But then you have to consider too, like, who's this guy?
Yeah.
And men, well, people tend to think that, you know, as soon as their genitals make contact, now you own the other person. And that could lead to like a huge fight. Someone could get killed.
Yeah, and it's all about meaning. What meaning is each person involved putting on to the experience? Is the guy that could potentially be joining us in a threesome, what is his meaning? Is he looking for a woman? If he's like actively wanting a relationship with a woman, he's probably going to get attached to me. Because I'm giving him this whole loving sexual experience. So obviously his brain is going to see, oh, wow, she wants to be with me. And then naturally what he's probably going to do is he's going to say, oh, she doesn't want to be with him. She wants to be with me, because why would she hook up with me if she is in a happy relationship with him? Like all these stories come about from it in his head.
Yeah.
It creates this whole...
Well, he's kind of right, because you do want to fuck him because it's hot, because he's new and fun and whatever.
And that's, it's a new experience. It's fun. It's connecting for us both to be there in that together.
But then, yeah, the real risk and the real danger is really the new person.
But if we didn't, the problems arise when we don't say that. When we don't say, hey, this is what it is for us. What is this for you? And they could lie about it. Very well, they could lie and say, oh, I'm just having fun.
They probably will. They probably lie.
Yeah. But then next thing I know, the next day he's texting me saying, hey, let's go out on a date. And he's not talking to you. He's ignoring you. He's triangulating.
We've already been through this.
You know, going like this. He's putting him over here. He's the villain. I'm the victim, and he's the hero.
He's not answering my Voxers.
He's the hero, so he's coming in to save me from my misery. He's gonna be the Superman or whatever, Batman.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what happens, and we've had this happen before, so we know that it happens.
It's dangerous, and then
it's actually happened how many times now? like 4 times probably, maybe even more.
Yeah.
5
Every time.
every single time.
Every time. And then, you know, if it's a couple, the problem that becomes basically the same thing. The dude's like super into you. And now he not only is he pissing me off, but he's pissing off his girlfriend.
He's pissing off his girlfriend.
And everyone's in pain.
Yeah, so just to have this little experience of us having sex, now everyone else gets to be in pain. It's like how worth, you know, is that a win-win for everyone? Is everyone happy? No, then it's not worth it. If everyone isn't happy and satisfied with the experience, then you shouldn't do it.
But yeah, you're right.
But what?
But I was gonna say, like, for us though, you know, I've done so much work and you've done so much work on our brains that I can be like, you know, the girl that we met at the club, like, I'm really into her. I want to have sex with her or whatever, you know, like, my heart feels connected. I can tell you, I can like gush over a girl and we can talk about it and you can, you know, get connected to it. It's not a catastrophe.
No, because we are so connected and bonded to each other that I am not afraid that you are going to leave me for someone else. If I didn't feel really deeply connected to you and I didn't know you well enough, maybe it was the beginning of our relationship, which this happened, the beginning of our relationship, when you were attracted to someone, it would be a whole ordeal for me because I thought, I don't feel connected enough to you. I don't feel stable enough in our relationship. So it was very fragile. But after time, after we spent years and years together, then I was like, oh, you know, I know you're not going to leave me. Before I had the idea, you're going to leave me for her. If you like someone else, you're going to dump me off to the side and you're going to go with her. Now that just sounds ridiculous to me because I know that's not going to happen.
Right. Yep. Yeah. But then the real question is like, say I went to the club with you or myself and I'm like, hey, you want to hook up with me and my partner or just me or whatever? Do you want to hook up? And she's like, yeah, let's do it. There's like so many things to consider. Like, one, how does that benefit kids in your community?
Yeah.
I'm not saying it doesn't. I'm really asking the question. Like, how does it do that, you know? And then also, how is she going to respond to that? Is she going to go nuts? Is she going to lose it because now she's in love with me, you know? And now she's nuts. So,
yeah,
there's just a lot of factors, man. But I'm saying there is a fantasy, though, if you could pull that off, and it does benefit children in your community because everyone's happier and the adults are getting along and they're being like responsible with their drinking. And it's not even drinking, by the way, because alcohol destroys your body and having sex doesn't. But
yeah, as long as you're having sex in a way where
well, unless you
ripping each other's asshole.
Yeah, unless you got some weird fetish about destroying yourself. There still is that fantasy. And I think on some level, we're all thinking about it, really. On some level, I really do think it's a collective thought. It's a collective fantasy right now. Like, could we have, you know, this I don't know, massive play party or just this world where people are able to do that and it works and it actually creates a stronger community instead of a more chaotic and a weaker one.
Yeah. Well, what we have experienced with and a community that we used to be a part of was full of drama all the time. Everyone's arguing, everyone's fighting, everyone's like got shit with each other. Constant messaging back and forth, constant having to figure things out. It was like, wow, I don't want to do that. I mean, like, for the moment of pleasure that you get, the little glimmer, the shooting star, is it worth all that drama? Is it worth spending every waking hour of your life, like, trying to solve dramatic issues with all your lovers and all your partners?
That's true. That's true.
Wow, I don't it didn't just seem that it wasn't satisfying for me, and it wasn't for you. That's why we left the community. It was just like, it was too crazy.
Yeah, like Elon Musk brought up a good point. He's just like, this shit takes a lot of your resources, man. The whole sex thing. Like, you're thinking about it, you're talking about
Constantly.
it. It's like we got to do something else sometimes, you know.
It triggers your emotional, the emotional side of your brain and your body, and yeah, once that is on, once that light switch is on, it's hard to turn that off.
But I will say this though, it is kind of too bad that we don't live in a world like that, because I really think in order to pull off a world like that, you would have to indoctrinate children. Like the public education system would have to indoctrinate children to be like that.
Yeah.
You know, it's way harder to do when everyone's already set in their ways, and then you try to steer the boat in another direction.
Yeah, when 90% of the world is not that way, and then you try to raise your children in a different way, well, now you're isolating them from most of society. So you better have a really strong family and community of people, because if it breaks apart, if it doesn't work, then your child is going to be really angry at you. It's going to be like, what the hell? I grew up in some weird ass thing. Yeah, if it doesn't work. If it does work, then that's amazing, and that your child has a family for life. It just never has to go out and try to find, unless they want to, but the bonds are strong, and that's important.
So we were planning on fucking some guy on camera. That was the idea. I really just wanted to see it, because you've had sex with a lot of guys since we've been together.
Mm-hmm.
You've dated a lot of people since we've been together. Not because you're polyamorous, but as a international profession.
Right.
And well, I guess to back up, I was in a polyamorous community when I met you, so like this was not new. This was not news that like your girlfriends are having sex with other dudes. But now that we're in a long-term relationship, it's completely different, and I haven't been going off and having fun with girls because it's not fun. It's a lot of work. It's actually only fun. I'm gonna say this too, and I kind of agree with Jordan Peterson when he says this. He's like, a huge reason why polyamory doesn't work as a society is because you're going to get men who have all the resources and all the money fucking all the girls. That's what's going to happen. Mm-hmm. And then the guys who don't have enough are going to end up rioting and probably killing people.
Getting really mad because they feel rejected. Yeah, that's how people get killed and murdered. I mean,
yeah, so I'm not rich. I don't got boats. I don't got stuff. So I can't just pay girls to have fun with them, like some of the dudes I know in the poly communities. So for me, it's a shit ton of work. It's like if I got to be in like a real relationship with this person, and it's like a whole thing. So it's pretty much just been you with dudes as a resource exchange.
Yeah, what I've noticed for you and for men without all those resources, financial resources in a polyamorous community, is that all the relationships you do have with women become highly emotional. They're very much focused on emotions and crying and processing all this stuff. Whereas for the men who do have the financial resources, it's not about that for them. It's because they kind of they pay their way out of that experience, basically. They're like, just kind of shut up. Like, I don't need to hear your emotions. Like, here's the money you need. Go pay your rent.
Yeah, it works.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, that's how it goes.
It does. So they're like, okay, cool. I'll go bring it somewhere else. I'll go find some other, guy floating around who's all like hippie and like I can just go cry on his shoulder.
I know a story of a dude in the community. Sorry if you recognize this, sir, but he literally paid a woman $250,000 to get out of his car and leave him alone to go away because he was done fucking her.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Just because he's done.
He didn't want.
Thank you, ma'am.
Right. And he did that purposely because he knew if he didn't do that, she would go around town and tell everyone that he is a rapist,
That's what happened to me.
he's a narcissist.
I didn't have the money.
Yeah. So he's like, no, here you go. Here, just take the money.
Right. Yeah, I fucked that one up. I fucked that, and I'll never do this ever again. Because I was dating a girl, and I thought she got it, but she didn't get it, and because I thought she was doing the poly thing too. Turns out she wasn't. And I'm like, you're doing the poly thing, right? And she's like, no, I want to be with, like, get married to you. I'm like, oh shit, I'm not doing that. And that didn't go over very well for her. So, you know, then you get reputation destruction.
Yeah,
is what happens.
If you don't have the finances to give her like 100K or more, then she's probably gonna go and spread your name around the town, and now everyone's gonna think something of you.
Oh yeah.
That happened to you.
So now though, I have this fetish fantasy in my head of you getting fucked by another guy and me like being there in it, you know, and that's been kind of like implanted in my head,
right?
Because of all the sex you've been having and all of the not sex I've been having, thinking about you having sex. So now there's this like thing in my head. And I'm not sure if we should just let that thing fizzle out or if we should just actually do it.
Yeah, it's a tough call because we could try it and then we could be like, wow, that wasn't worth it. That sucked because now this guy's being weird and
well, yeah, he could be weird, yeah. But we could also be kind of hardcore with him. But you know, because here's the thing we understand too. There is like almost every dude is starving of sex unless he's got a ton of resources and he's cynical and he'll just, you know, whatever.
Right.
But most dudes are absolutely starving of female sexual love. So I'm sure you could message. I've already had hundreds of messages from guys because I posted on forums and stuff. And you know what I mean? They'll throw themselves at it and they're like, oh yeah, no problem. No, I get it. Yeah, whatever. I don't care, dude. It's a free lay for me, you know? Obviously, you know, that's not completely honest because that's not how your body works. But people hook up all the time and then just deal with it, the pain after or whatever, and these, you know what I mean? They drink or whatever.
Lock themselves up and like cry or eat ice cream or drink beer.
Play video games or something. Yeah, but
most people aren't going to be vulnerable enough to say, oh, I feel sad that after we hooked up. Yeah, right. Anytime in the past when I was a stupid teenager, I would go hook up with guys. They wouldn't talk to me anymore. Yeah, right. Would they ever come back and be like, hey, I feel sad that, we didn't maintain a relationship? No, that never happened. I was the one crying, texting them, hoping that they would text back.
Right. Yeah, so I'm still in a question mark. It is kind of just for me. Well, but here's the thing too, because you have to think this too. It's really hard to consider all the pieces. You have to consider all of the detached, emotionless, cynical sex that people are having right now. But just because other people are doing it and it's normal doesn't mean it's good and doesn't mean you should do it. There's that. I guess the win-win for everyone would be if this person really understood what the desire is here for me, and they had empathy for that, and they could just be connected to that,
Yeah.
if there's a lot of like meaning making between all of us, maybe. I don't know.
And that seems that seems so tough because it's hard to find a guy that has empathy for another guy. That's what I've noticed. That's hard. I don't think it's impossible because I don't think anything is impossible, but I do think it's very challenging and it's difficult and it's very rare.
Anyway, so I honestly think we're probably just gonna end up focusing our business and helping other couples just like be more honest with each other and have open dialogue, because that everyone can agree that is good. Like no matter what way you look at it, having open dialogue and being honest with your partner that is going to lead, that's more likely to lead to a stable marriage, a stable relationship than the other thing, you know?
Yeah, being honest is like the very first thing you can do. If you don't want to do anything else, like you want to be monogamous, you want that, you want to be married and all that stuff. One thing, one piece of advice that could apply to anyone, no matter what their relationship structured is like, is communication. At least be honest with each other. Yeah. And that'll change so much. Just be honest and open.
Well, yeah, because when we do that, we're growing too. And we're also stress testing the relationship. And it's like, is this a strong enough bond? Is it meaningful enough to withstand telling the truth? You know, because maybe it's not. And then you shouldn't be together. You know, so telling the truth is important. And then getting emotional about it and having arguments and stuff because it's a little too true, you know? You're like really learning things about yourself that you didn't know
Yeah.
about being human.
And then when one of us gets upset or sad, we calm down and then we come back together and we talk about it. We're like, I feel sad or I feel mad. You know, and we process those emotions together. Instead of ignoring them. Because if we ignored them, what it would look like is breaking up, throwing dishes, punching walls, all that stuff. That would be if we didn't talk about things.
Yeah. Well, I feel sad and mad that everyone wants to fuck you. And what I've noticed, because I've done a lot of experimenting, is and the only time I can get everyone to want to fuck me is when I pretend to be gay and very submissive.
Yeah, and that's not
it's just not me.
It's not you. And that's silly to have to try to be something that you're not just so that people will like you. It's like that's what we don't want to do in life. We want to be more of who we are and be loved and appreciated and accepted for that.
Yeah, but what I'm kind of learning about the masculine though as I grow up is it's just not about that for men and for the mass. It's not about you as a physically attractive thing for men. Is basically the assessment that I'm coming to as an adult. It is that for the feminine. It is literally she's hot. I want to, you know what I mean, do stuff to her physically. But it's not that. It's not that for males.
I think it's good for men to receive and to practice receiving because that's healthy. It's healthy to not just constantly be giving and emptying yourself. And that you can just lay down and receive, get a massage, just like give to yourself when you're self-pleasuring, going slow and taking your time and loving on your body, taking baths. Like those are all ways men can receive without having to literally change yourself into a woman. Try doing going up your butt. You have experience with that. And that really helped you open up your body and receive and stuff. Butt plugs. Just putting your finger up there. Just anything.
Yeah, just finding different ways to give yourself pleasure and, to let other people give you pleasure in a non-heterosexual sexual attraction way.
Yeah, there's definitely a stigma that came from society for so long, which is slowly starting to dissolve. But it's that, oh, if a man receives, especially in his butt, that means he's gay. So that's kind of in the back of most men's mind, like, oh God, am I gay if I do this? Which is crazy. It's because it's like your body. It's like, why is that associated with being a certain way, But that's the way society has made it.
I think men have to deal with a lot of shit. And the shit that we got to go through as men is pretty cruel. It's pretty gruesome, man. That's why men are known for being stoic and get it fucking done, no matter how you feel.
Love that about you.
Because men are, that's basically, that's your, I don't know, man. That's your Monopoly piece, okay? Your little piece on the chessboard. You're the thing that nobody cares about you as a sex icon. Really, they don't, unless you're Jason whatever. Momoa or whatever, you know. But I think, but you know, Jason, whoever, um, is actually embodying. He's actually embodying the feminine.
Yeah.
Yes or no?
Yeah.
Guys who are touted as being sex symbols for women, and women like really want to fuck them. You know.
Yeah, they're usually more on the sensitive side. They're very like, gentle in the way that they speak. Even though he's like some big muscly guy, like when you hear him talk, he's like very like soft and kind of
Right.
like
But as a man,
unalarming.
but as a man, the reality of Jason, whoever, is that he has a wife and kids, and no women are just hooking up with him. That's the reality of it, because that's not how the masculine works. That's what men want to do with women. They don't care if you got a husband. They don't care if they're just like, let's do it. Like, let's go, you know? But when you go the other way around, it just doesn't work the same. Unless you're having an affair, which is different, and that causes everyone pain. That's when you pretend that they don't have a husband. I mean, that when they don't have a wife, and like you're the new girl. That's an affair. You're playing a fantasy game though in your head, you know. Because that's what I think women really want. What I'm learning about women's psyche is they really just want the stability. Yes or no, they want the providing. That's really what they're going for. They want the strong masculine guy, and if he's married, like it just kind of takes the whole thing away. Unless she thinks she's going to be the next wife.
Right.
In that case, it's an affair.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, anyway, so some pretty hardcore truths about life that are uncomfortable. Because what that means for most males, unless you're going to have a ton of dough and just be cynical and use that to get your dick sucked, is that you're basically have to find ways to experience pleasure in your relationship and by yourself. And you pretty much have to drop and forget about the adolescent fantasy of multiple women. You pretty much have to drop it. Unless society has some like grotesque upheaval and people are completely changed. They're like completely brainwashed into some alternate reality.
Yeah. Yeah. That didn't even happen in the 60s. The 60s was the time of a huge breakthrough revolution, and a lot of them were openly relating with each other, polyamorous or whatever you want to call it. And did the whole world adapt to that? No.
No, because again, there's these issues where it's just not going to work. It's just never going to happen, because if you do brainwash society into being okay with those themes, you're still going to end up with a minority of males who get all the women.
Right.
And then there's going to be violent outbursts and people are going to die. So
you would have to really, for this to work, is you would have to get rid of the way money is right now. Like, that doesn't matter.
You'd have to get rid of money.
Money, period. You just have to be like, no, that doesn't even exist anymore. So there's no hierarchy when it comes to financial resources for men.
Yeah, but now you're talking about basically communism, and people fight wars to the death over that. It's like, just forget it. Just forget it.
There's gonna always be some reason that people are gonna want to fight each other.
So, I'm still think like, you know, if we go through our life and we're building a business and we're building a community and stuff, that it doesn't have to be a catastrophe for us to like have one party where we get to break rules.
Yeah.
You know, it wouldn't be a catastrophe. Maybe it would, and we're all like, wow, we should never do that ever again, because we almost just ripped apart the whole community at that one party.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. If it ends up destroying things, then you're like, okay, don't do that anymore. Hopefully it doesn't get to that point, but yeah, I think it's good. It's good to experiment. It's good that we're experimenting.
Yeah. There's no definitive answer. The only answer that we do have right now is that we're we're so good at communicating with each other that we're able to do this stuff and not kill each other. To like ask questions and explore and try to find what's right for me and you, you know, just based on our brains,
Right.
you know. So really, if anything, that's what we're able to help you guys out with, our audience and stuff. It's not, we don't have some solution about what you should or shouldn't do with your sexuality. We just, you know, but we've done enough work to be able to talk, which most marriages can't do that. In most relationships, they can't talk. So they just end up shooting holes in the ceiling.
Yep.
All right, whatever. So what are we doing? Do you still want to experiment with that, with this guy?
We can try. We can keep trying. We've been experimenting a lot lately, so why not? Let's try.
Yeah, but we still also have to like get money. You know what I mean? So that we can do the to-do list in our careers. You know what I mean? So like if this thing, but I want to like if this thing is gonna take away from that, then it's not a good use of time.
If it's gonna take away from us staying focused on our visions and our goals, then I would and financial goals as well. Then I would say it's probably not helpful. Definitely, if we're just kind of does the risk outweigh the benefit?
I don't know. Because well, you have to think too, we could film the whole thing as an experiment and just we could charge for like a small amount for people to watch it as like a learning experience, you know.
Right.
Or like as entertainment. That's true too. But you know, we still have a goal of like actual investment from like large amounts. We're trying to like build infrastructure. It's like a whole thing.
Right.
You know what I mean? Who knows? I don't know.
I think we
It changes every single day. Because you realize like we could do this to gain in support from investors. However, that is like very likely to lead to chaos and pain. You know what I mean?
I would say we have more luck just building an online presence and so that people see us. I would say we have more success with that than we would just trying to do this like one-time thing with someone.
Yeah, that's really about making connections though. Just as a pro tip for people. That's literally like you literally have to go knock on doors. Just about. You have to like literally send people boxes in the mail, like message their PR people, like go like, hello, can you share our stuff on your page? Can we do a interview together? Like that's like, you know,
Right.
you got to go do that and or pay for ad space.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
But right now, for us, it's hard to have a business model because our life is so goddamn experimental. But it needs to stop being experimental soon because we need to actually have kids in a community.
Right. Yeah, we've gotten to the point where like over the course of our whole relationship, 4 years, and even before we met, it's like been very much about trying things, failing, learning.
Yep.
Just that cycle over and over again. But as far as our business goes, no, we don't have that. Like nobody on the internet really knows who we are, so
Yeah.
that is challenging. I think that's what makes me the most sad really is that wow, I've spent so many years doing a lot of work, but I haven't really seen any kind of I didn't acquire any money. I mean the money kind of money that
results,
I've
testimonials,
acquired money, but I just acquired it in a way that
clientele.
I don't like. Yeah.
Yeah.
clientele, fans, just people that love it, care, they are watching, they want us to make more. Like that is important. It's important for the ego to have that, because without that, it's just like it feels hard to wake up in the morning.
Yeah, that's called depression.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, I don't know, man, because we don't, you and I, we don't agree with conservatism. We just don't agree with, you should do it this way. You should go to church on Sunday. You should do this exactly the way it's been done, because that's the tried and true way. That's the way it's supposed to be. And when you don't agree with the way the majority does it, you are on an excursion, and you don't know when that excursion is going to end, if it will end ever. It's the Wonderland. You're in friggin' Wonderland. But at some point, I think honestly, at some point, you just gotta lay out rules and be like, you know what? These are the rules that I think so far, based on all my experimentation and the feedback I've gotten. This is the rule book thus far. And just make a rule book. And then you just see how it goes. And if shit starts blowing up, you're like, okay, we got to update the rule book.
Right.
I think currently why there's so much suffering going on and people aren't happy in their relationships and stuff is because there isn't a rule book. I think the rule and the currently agreed upon rule book, the kind of unsaid thing sucks. It's like, you're a robot, just shut up, do the dishes, put your kids to school, and any of those desires that you have in your head about any of that connection stuff with anyone other than your wife or husband, just get rid of it. I don't know. That's not a successful life. That's not happy.
That's what leads to violence, and that's what leads to things like abuse and rape and all that stuff, is when the one thing that we need in life is intimacy and touch and all of that, we're starved of it. So now it becomes shameful and hidden, becomes this underworld thing. And that's what leads to a lot of abuse and children being molested by their family members because they're starving of intimacy. So now they resort to using their family for that, and people that don't want it, and that's it. It's just crazy. It becomes a very violent world. So that's really the mission. That's really the message behind what we're doing, is that we want to help the world not do that.
Yeah, I mean, what we could do is we could have a rule book. We could try to help people with the rule book, and like, this is everything we've learned and how we would go about trying experimental things, because that's ultimately what it is. Like, if we fuck some guy and I'm there and we film it, that is highly experimental. So it's like, but we do have a process for it. We do have rules, and like, how do you go about minimizing the risk of that? That's like good gambling. You don't want to lose all your money on the first. You don't want to lose all your money. What you want to minimize the risk so you can take a lot of losses, because then that one time that you hit big, you're in profit. That's professional gambling.
Right.
It's about minimizing risk. So if we do have a process on like, here's how to take big risks as a couple with potential huge payoff, that's why we do it, It's like potential crazy payoff, and here's how to do it professionally.
Yeah.
And minimize the damage. And obviously then if we actually do that, and we here's two ways to win. One way to win is it goes the way that we hope for, and it's this crazy thing. We're like, oh my God, that was so awesome, right?
Right.
It added to everyone's life. We have a new best friend now, or whatever. We have a new ally, and this is crazy thing. Another way to win would be like, okay, that didn't go so well and it kind of got weird, but we've minimized the damage so much that we're really not that impacted by it. That's another win.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like if we can do that, then that's good. and that's something you can productize and sell. That is valuable. I think that is valuable. I think people would agree that that is valuable. So we should probably just do it.
Ah,
What do you think?
excuse me. That we should find someone to do it with.
Yeah, just whatever highly experimental thing that we're desiring to do, we should do it, and use our current knowledge of everything we've learned to like navigate that without causing too much damage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and that's really like the knowledge right there. That's like the whole thing.
Right. Yep. Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, I think we should totally do it then. We should not because then we'll always be wondering like, oh, what if we did try it and you know it went well, and we're always gonna wonder if we don't do it.
Cool, let's do it then.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
But we do have an interview like process of some sort to try to weed through the people that are like not a good fit at all.
Yeah, well, that's like the process that we will show the audience and teach them how to do, and that's why we're charging for admission into all of this content on our site.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, it'll be fun. So you can join us on this little journey. Big journey, actually.
Yep.
Join us.
Cool. All right. Well, when it's on the site, we'll put the site in the description.
Yep.
And you can go see it.
Mm-hmm. We'll be working on it, and we'll let you know when it's ready.
Okay, is that it?
I think so. Fuzzy one. Alright.
I don't know. Really?
Get at it. You hold this one like that, and then that, and then curl this finger. Yeah. There you go, and then go. Boom.
Bye.